Oh yeah, here we go.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Real time, real time, real time, real time, real time, real time, Prince Blue. Real time, real time, real time, real time, real time, real time, Prince Blue. Talk that, talk that, talk that, coach, coach, talk that, talk that, talk that, coach, coach, talking entertainment too. Look, we are not the same as you. Look, we don't need a thing, just you. Just making sure the gang come through.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? It is Real Time with Prince Blue, and I, of course, am Prince Blue, and I hope everybody's doing good out there. Check it out. We have a very excellent episode lined up for you today. I'm very excited about it. We got NFL draft talk with the lead analyst, NFL analyst at PFN 365, Anthony DeBona. He was gracious enough to pre-record an interview with me because he couldn't make it live because he's busy. The draft just got done, and he has so much information that he has to get out on the different prospects. So he pre-recorded some interview with me, and I'm very grateful for that, and I thank him for that. And I'm going to play that for you in its entirety. It's a lot of good nuggets in there. So Eagles fans and NFL fans in general, if you want to know about certain prospects or your favorite or worst draft, stick around for that interview. It's going to be very informative for you, and I appreciate Anthony DeBona again for doing that for me. And then on top of that, we got Sixers talk, and then we got Ayo Pause, and we got I Said What I Said, and we'll be right back after these messages.
It's always lit over at ajsrantroom.com. We got the best bags and accessories, our beloved Black Series. We got fresh lids for you hat lovers, fire jackets and hoodies, and of course we got you covered on the t-shirts. So head on over to ajsrantroom.com and get to shopping. You won't be disappointed.
Hey, what is up, everybody, man? As you all know, what can be said can't be said, right? This is Real Time with Prince Blue, and I am here with the man. I watched this guy work his way up from just shooting out it's Twitter, now it's X. His draft takes, Eagles takes. He's a fantastic follow, and he has worked so hard, man. He is now one of the lead analysts, NFL analysts over at PFN 365. He's a great dude. He's across all platforms. My man, Anthony DeBona. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
What's up, man? I feel like this has been a long time in the making. We've been talking on social media for years, it feels like. So now it's cool to finally get together and talk.
Yeah, and we've been talking back and forth for a long time, and man, it's just great to have you here, especially with unless you've been living over the rock, the NFL draft has just stopped. The NFL draft has just ended, and you're rooted in Eagles. I'm rooted in Eagles. I'm an Eagles fan. This show will always be pro Philadelphia. So when I wanted to get, draft takes and draft grades and draft analysis, you were the only person that I could think about, man, because, I want to talk to people that's really grinding and really doing big things in the industry. And man, I just see that it's going to go up here from you. So, man, I appreciate you spending this time with me.
Not a problem. I'm excited to talk. Eagles had a phenomenal draft, so it'll be fun to break down a little bit here.
Yeah, so let's get into it. So first of all, let me have your overall take of the Eagles draft this weekend. Did you like the moves? What's your overall take on it?
I feel like it's a great haul overall, and I feel like the best part, especially for Eagles fans, is just the fact that they were able to land all these players that were connected to the team leading up to the draft with like 30 visits and whatnot. But I feel like the best case scenario was they were able to add more picks this year, add more picks next year, and still be able to land the guys that a lot of people would have wanted in the first round. Because I feel like heading into the draft, you heard a lot of people saying if they wanted Quinyon Mitchell especially, or Cooper DeJean, that they would have to possibly trade up from 22. So the fact that they were able to stay at 22, get Quinyon Mitchell, and then trade up a little bit in the second round while still landing a third round pick, and then turning that into a third round pick in the future from the Dolphins. What Howie Roseman was able to do, the way he maneuvered up and down the board, was probably his best. I feel like his best performance yet in terms of getting value in the future while still adding extra picks, because heading into the draft, they only had, I think, 8 picks in this year's draft, and then they only had 6 picks next year. So he added a third, a fourth, and a fifth next year while adding an extra pick this year while still getting all those names. Like I said, it's just the only issue I would say is just people. Now they signed Mekhi Becton afterwards, but they didn't really address offensive tackle like a lot of people thought they would early. But I feel like Mekhi Becton's almost the age of some of these guys that were in the draft. Troy Futano, who is linked to the Eagles a lot, he's going to be 24 during the season, and Mekhi Becton's 25. So and he has 30 starts in his career. So obviously he won't have he won't be locked into a rookie contract. It's a 1-year deal, but I feel like that's why they kind of made that move so quickly after the draft, because they weren't able to address it during the draft.
Yeah, and it's because again, I don't watch college football, so I'm one of those people, Anthony, that I wait until they get to the team, and then I base my opinion on a player once they get there. I'm not like a lot of these draft people where, they not even draft people, like you see it on social media all the time. People just regurgitate what they heard somewhere else or seen somewhere else. They seen highlights, and then they try to come across as a foremost expert. So I'm here to ask you, why do you think that draft analysts find it so hard to get away from their take in their initial draft analysis after a person is drafted?
Well, I feel like for a lot of the people that actually do sit here and grind the tape and watch this, like leading into the season, and then really after the college season ends, I feel like people even dive more into it, and you're getting the chance to watch a guy a second, third, fourth time, even if it's the same game. You're just trying to find little things here and there. So I just feel like over that course of time, the people that really grind it, they kind of just get like these opinions and these thoughts in their mind that they just like. And a lot of the times, which is what I don't like, is they just think about them doing such and such at the next level, not realizing how much fit and landing spot and the coaching staff and who's around them, all of that plays such a big factor. And I feel like you saw that last year with a guy like Puka Nacua, who was a late pick, and then you saw what he developed with Sean McVay, and then you saw when they made the call and leading up to that pick, you could see Sean McVay, he was like, we have a plan for this guy. We have to get this guy. And I feel like a lot of the times these draft analysts that just focus on this guy's better than this guy at this, so he's just better. But like, because last year, Rashee Rice was another guy that a lot of people kind of doubted because he had like a very low yards per target and he didn't really catch the ball deep. And then, but if your team has a plan in place where the Chiefs got him the ball early and then he just made plays after the catch, that's just so important. And I feel like I always kind of look at things with the Eagles colored glasses because that's the team that I really focus on. But it's just people have to kind of look past what their own personal preference is, and it's all about landing spot in the NFL.
Yeah, and I agree with what you said. It's just I find it so weird. Let's do an example. I know you're in that world and you have contemporaries now, but on Real Time with Prince Blue, I say names. Say a person like a Ben Solak. Last year, like, and even the Super Bowl year with the Eagles, some of the stuff he would say about Jalen Hurts, I didn't quite understand. So when I asked a couple of my followers on Twitter, and they would say that his pre-draft analysis of Jalen Hurts comes out in his analysis even when he's a pro. Like he would say things like, the offense is really simple. They don't do a lot of flashy stuff. He's not asked to do a lot. And then me thinking, I'm like, that's almost speaking to his intelligence and his ability to grasp an offense, when we all know the worst kept secret is Jalen Hurts hasn't had the same offensive coordinator since high school for 2 years in a row. And the only time he did have it, he had an MVP like season. So when I see scouts, like, I be wondering, like, where's all this coming from? Now I understand, and I get it. When you grind so much and you scout, and then you have this analysis, you put your heart into it, and then it doesn't work out the way that you thought. I get it, but also I'll be thinking it lends more credibility if you was to say, wow, I got that wrong. I did not see this coming. X player proved all my analysis wrong, and this just shows that you can scout, but ultimately it's up to the player, the team that they go to, and the coaches around them. So I just find that rather strange that a lot of scouts and analysts can't seem to get past their initial analysis of a player.
Yeah, like you were saying, it's just these guys get so set in their ways because they see these weaknesses pop up there in college, and they kind of take for granted that these guys they're still kids, really. When you think about it, at the end of the day, they're still gonna the grind, they're still gonna work, especially a guy like Jalen Hurts. That's why these teams do these interviews and try and figure out the mental makeup of these guys, because it's so much more than just what's on the field, because you're projecting in the NFL draft, you're projecting in any professional sports draft. So it's all about what that player can do if you drafted them, if they were in your building, working with your coaches. So obviously the whole offensive coordinator situation has been rough for Jalen Hurts throughout his whole career, like you mentioned. But I mean, you take a guy like Patrick Mahomes, who a lot of people thought was too reckless in college. He was never going to, that type of style was never going to work in the NFL. And now he's on path to be the greatest quarterback ever. So, I mean, it's such a case by case basis, and trying to put like these blanket statements over players is what kind of gets people screwed in the end, because I'm the first to admit I was blatantly wrong on Twitter about Saquon Barkley this offseason. Somebody asked me, "Oh, what are the odds that Saquon Barkley is going to sign with the Eagles?" I quote
Mhm.
tweeted it and said 0.0%, and now it's in my Twitter bio because I can just own that fact. I mean, I think the best thing about Twitter is that like when people can admit that they were wrong and kind of expose
Mhm.
themselves. I literally tweeted it to Old Takes Exposed myself because I'm like, I know I'm going to get dunked on for this. I might as well get ahead of it. So I mean, it's just the world in general. If people were able to admit when they were wrong, I feel like it would just be a better place. And I feel like with draft analysts, they just want to be right so often that they're just waiting for that one little mistake and misstep for a player just so they can be like, "Oh, ha, I told you so." So I mean, it's just that's how it goes.
Yeah. So, with that being said, a lot of Eagles fans are excited about this draft from the first pick to all the way to the last pick. Matter of fact, I can't remember a time where it was a heavy consensus of how we did a great job. I didn't see too many issues from the fans about any of the picks. So let's start with the first round pick, Quinyon Mitchell, cornerback from Toledo. Give me your analysis of him, the fit here, and what do you think ultimately is Quinyon Mitchell's ceiling?
I feel like his ceiling is an all-pro caliber cornerback because I mean, you just watch him. He dominated at Toledo, and obviously the biggest question was the level of competition, and that's what everybody was worried about. And he played kind of a lot of off coverage. People wanted to see him play press or whatever the case was, which is why the Senior Bowl was such an important moment for him because he was kind of able to show that he can hang with these guys that are eventually going to be first, second round picks. And there were plenty of them at this year's Senior Bowl. The roster was stacked, so even in those one-on-one drills where it's kind of designed for the offense to win, he was able to hold his own. He only got beat a handful of times, but I feel like that kind of cemented himself as the top corner in this draft. I mean, personally, I think I had Terrion Arnold over him, and the only reason was because of the age. He's a couple years younger. So, and when you think about team building, that's obviously a factor. And I feel like he was Terrion Arnold was a little bit more outspoken in his press conferences and stuff like that about just like his mental makeup, where Quinyon Mitchell's kind of more of a reserved guy, which really doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. But when you're trying to, I mean, kind of base your analysis on what you can see and hear from the outside looking in, that kind of stuck out more with me with Terrion Arnold. So I think they're both going to be phenomenal players, but Quinyon Mitchell, he should really fit in well, especially Vic Fangio's scheme where he's going to mix up the coverages. He likes to disguise things, do different looks. I feel like he has that versatility to where he'll be able to flourish in Vic Fangio's scheme in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and so again, not a college guy, so we love the comp game. Give us a comp for Quinyon Mitchell.
Ironically enough, I feel like he's a lot like Darius Slay was coming out of college because he just has that versatility, that length, and the athleticism. He's probably a little bit more athletic than Darius Slay was because he had that 4.3 speed that kind of caught some people off guard. And I was on a podcast in January where I kind of spoke up Quinyon Mitchell as my number one cornerback. When I released my pre-combine big board, he was my number one cornerback. And ironically enough, Cooper DeJean was my number two. So, I mean, things changed a little bit after that, but it's just funny that the Eagles have now landed both of them. And I just feel like Quinyon Mitchell, he's kind of a different player because of his aggressiveness. His aggressiveness too is what stands out because he's such a willing tackler. And I think maybe from the days of Jim Schwartz, I kind of appreciate that and look for that in cornerbacks. Because I mean, if you look at Philadelphia's defense last year, once runners or receivers got out on the outside with the ball, it was like nobody was. Yeah, it was like turnstiles out there. So now that they have these guys like Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell out there on the outside that are more short tacklers, that they're willing to take on blocks and try and beat blocks, I think it's going to be a huge difference in Philadelphia's secondary.
And I'm glad you brought up Cooper because that's my next thing. Of course, there was a video going around where Jeff McClain asked Cooper DeJean about him being a white cornerback and does that affect his status or his mental or whatever. It was just a stupid ass question. So I ask you this: where if you had to pencil in Cooper DeJean in this defense, will he be a cornerback or will he be a safety?
I think right now in year one, ideally, I feel like you would have Darius Slay as one outside cornerback, Quinyon Mitchell as the other outside cornerback, Blankenship and CJ Gardner-Johnson as your safeties. And I think you would put Cooper DeJean in the slot. I feel like that would be the best fit for him in this Vic Fangio scheme where he can kind of use his versatility. He has the size to go against smaller guys, bigger guys, tight ends. He has the aggressiveness to support in the run game. And I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of used him in the box as kind of like a linebacker when they only have one or two on the field. Where
now you're
he,
talking my
yeah,
language.
I feel like he has that versatility. He really wasn't used much outside of outside corner at Iowa, but he just, because of his athleticism and his willingness to kind of tackle guys and do the dirty work, he was a returner for them as well. So maybe he'll have a role doing that in Philadelphia. I don't think so, because they probably don't want to risk him getting injured there. But it's just, I feel like he's going to be a perfect fit for Vic Fangio, because he kind of likes to disguise things pre-snap and show looks and then switch it up. So, I mean, he could start to play with Cooper DeJean in the slot and CJ Gardner-Johnson playing single high safety or something like that, and then rotate it at the last second, where now CJ Gardner-Johnson and Cooper DeJean are both deep safeties. I mean, the possibilities are endless, and it's just such a difference between last year's secondary to now.
And round 3, I think this was the one where a lot of people antennas went up a little bit, because first name you kept seeing was Davion Taylor. Talk about is it Jalix?
Yeah.
Jalix Hunt. Talk about Taylor, and why would Vic Fangio pound the table for him as it was reported?
Well, if anybody paid attention to my Twitter beforehand, I was kind of talking up Jalix Hunt, because I kind of got a hold of his tape a little later in the process. He wasn't even on my big board before the combine, because I just couldn't find any film of him. So I was able to find that later on. And then I was like, this guy is really unique. I know it's a smaller school, so people get scared, because obviously Quinyon Mitchell was Toledo. Now this guy's from a smaller school. So people were like, oh God, where's all the Georgia players? Where are all the SEC players? People were starting to panic. I feel like that was the only kind of criticism you saw. But it's just like, I feel like if you had to choose anybody with the most upside in the Eagles draft class, it's probably Jalix Hunt, because he's only been playing the position for 2 years and he was already a 3rd round pick. And he probably would have been picked if the Eagles didn't pick up not much later than that. So the only thing that I kind of noted on Twitter too is that Adisa Isaac, who was drafted at 93rd overall by the Ravens, also another edge rusher, the Eagles hosted him on a 30 visit too. So I was just curious if Hunt was still going to be the pick if Isaac was there. So that's the only thing I was considering. But I mean, when you just look at Vic Fangio's defense, he'll probably be put in that Andrew Van Ginkel role that he played in Miami, where he's that outside linebacker that he kind of trusts in coverage. He can rush the passer with the best of them, because he just has freakish athletic ability. He has great length. He has a nonstop motor. That was another thing that kind of stood out on film, is that like a lot of times you see edges when the play goes to the other side, they kind of just jog to the other side, and then they kind of just put their hand on a guy. This guy was sprinting across the field, nailing guys, like just taking them out of the play, and like the effort just didn't stop. And I feel like making the switch from safety is why he's also so good at coverage. Even though he's 6'4", 250, he had a couple pick sixes in college, and he was able to jump routes. So, I mean, I'm not sure you're going to see him much on the field next year, but considering that Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, Zach Bond, guys like that are only on 1-year deals, I feel like he can have a bigger role in 2025 and beyond.
So he's more, you see him more as they're going to get him right, get his toolbox a little more expanded, and by next year we should see more of Hunt.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I think he's going to be put on that Nolan Smith plan for this rookie season, where kind of just like keep him on ice, use him here and there very sparingly, and then really unleash him in 2025. I mean, Vic Fangio, I don't know how much he really likes to play rookies a ton of snaps, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But obviously the defensive backs they're going to have to use. I just feel like on the edge, I feel like Zach Bond was signed so early in free agency that I think they have a plan in place for him some type of way. I think he's kind of someone that's being slept on for next season. But then I think it'll be Hunt's role moving forward after that.
Anthony, give me an underrated pick that nobody's talking about from the Eagles draft weekend.
If I was probably going to go with Jalix Hunt, but if not him, I think Ainias Smith is somebody that's kind of being slept on, because that wide receiver 3 spot is still kind of up in the air in Philadelphia. I know they signed Devontae Parker, who I don't even think is going to make the final roster after they drafted 2 receivers. And then Paris Campbell is kind of a similar player to Ainias Smith, but if you watch Ainias Smith, his highlight tape is fun to watch, because he's doing everything. He's returning punts, kicks. He's being handed the ball like a running back. He's being handed the ball in reverses. He's running routes out of the slot, out of the backfield, outside. I mean, he just did it all there. I mean, now he's going to obviously be surrounded by much more talent at the next level. So it'll be interesting to see how Kellen Moore uses him. But I feel like he's kind of being slept on because that wide receiver 3 spot is so wide open in Philadelphia going into the training camp.
You know what's funny about when I was looking up Smith, normally in that 3rd spot, what do we have? We had Zacchaeus, and we had Watkins and Jones.
Yep.
So it's 3 different people, 3 different skill sets, But we always know Nick he loved the fact that Jalen Watkins had speed and that third, but that speed didn't mean anything because Jalen Watkins always shitting on himself when it came time to actually do something. So if you had to pick right now, Campbell, Parker, Smith, who do you give the nod for that third spot? I know I hate to put you on the spot,
No.
but what do you think?
I've said it before, and I'll probably still stick with it. I think Paris Campbell has the upper hand right now because he has those ties to Nick Sirianni from Indianapolis. I feel like he was kind of brought in for a reason, and he has that same speed that you talked about. But I think the experience might give him the upper hand, at least to start the season over Smith, and then eventually maybe they'll sprinkle him in and kind of mix things up. But if you look at Kellen Moore's offenses, he kind of likes to use a set top 3 receivers. He doesn't really like using that turnstile rotation that Sirianni was using the past couple of years, where it was 20 snaps for this guy, 15 snaps for this guy. Quez Watkins would come back from an injury, and now all of a sudden he's playing all the snaps. Like, I feel like Kellen Moore would rather have a more solidified role for everybody. So I think Smith might be used more of like a gadget guy in his first year, and then Campbell is more like the full-time wide receiver 3. So, but he didn't really do much in New York last year. I don't think it was the best situation. So he's obviously got to bounce back and even earn a roster spot in the first place, because Anaya Smith and Johnny Wilson are really intriguing players that the Eagles drafted.
Tell me why people, besides him being white, let me know why people were so perplexed about the Will Shipley pick, because people were saying there were more explosive and better running backs behind him and ahead of him. Why did they go with Will Shipley? Tell me why did Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore decide on Will Shipley?
I personally think the reason they took him is because he kind of proved that he could be like a workhorse running back. And I feel like behind Saquon Barkley, they don't really have that. Kenneth Gainwell's going into the last year of his contract, so they need somebody kind of long-term. And Gainwell he's had a couple decent games here and there, but I don't think he's somebody that they feel comfortable relying on if Barkley did go down. So I feel like even though Shipley might not play much next season unless Barkley gets hurt, I feel like they'll rely more on him if Barkley does get hurt over Gainwell, because he kind of has that complete skill set. And he's an elite kick returner. And with these new rules, I feel like that's kind of a factor too. I feel like you kind of saw these return specialists being drafted more than you thought in previous season. And I think that's a big reason why, is because of those new rules. It's actually going to be a play now. It's not just going to be a commercial break. So, I mean, that certainly plays a factor. So it's going to be interesting, because I feel like Shipley can really have a serious role, because he was used all over the field in Clemson. And the only thing that is concerning is he had 8 career fumbles in 3 seasons. So, I mean, obviously that's going to be the key. If he can hold on to the ball, I feel like he could eventually win that second running back spot behind Barkley over Gainwell. But if he has troubles holding on to the ball, that could ruin his career to start before it even starts, to be honest.
So, Anthony, you know what? Coming into this draft, people was like, oh, they're going to trade up for a tackle that could play guard and then kick out with Lane, blah, 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 when Lane retires, blah, blah, blah. But what I've noticed is, I guess they like Steen more than, I guess we was reading too much in between the lines. So what do you think about that guard spot and the fact that the Eagles didn't touch offensive line till what, the 5th?
Fifth round with Keegan.
So what do you think about that? And what are your prognosis for the future when it comes to Steen? And is that guard spot up for grabs?
Well, I think it was interesting when people brought up the report where Steen kind of took over the starting lineman like locker room spot. So that was kind of interesting to feel, because I feel like Sirianni's so big on culture that little things like that probably matter a lot to him. So the fact that Steen was handed that locker could mean something. But before the start of last season, I was actually one of the people advocating for Steen to start right away at right guard and kind of leave Cam Jurgens behind Kelce at center, because I feel like we kind of knew this was going to happen, where Kelce was going to retire, Jurgens was going to have to slide over. So I feel like I know it got him experience on the field and whatnot, but now he's playing a different spot. So I feel like now you kind of just slot Steen into that right guard spot. I feel like he's clearly the favorite. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if one of these rookies kind of pushed him, especially Keegan, the 5th round pick. I feel like he has a lot to offer, and he's a very similar body style to Landon Dickerson. He's a bigger guard, very physical, not the quickest guy. He's not going to explode to the second level, but I think he could push for that spot. And that was kind of what I like to see, because I didn't want them to just hand the spot to Steen and they really have no competition there. So it was kind of interesting to see them finally take somebody. Obviously, like you said, not as early as many expected. But then again, I feel like there was kind of a little bit of a run in the 3rd round before they traded back to 94, where I think it was like Cooper Beebe went to Dallas, and then Kieran, the offensive lineman from Yale, got picked as well, who were the two guys that they showed interest in during the pre-draft process. So I'm curious to see if one of them did fall, would the Eagles have stayed, I think, at 78 and taken one of them? But instead they traded back and then traded back again to get Hunt. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe they would have taken one earlier. But Dylan McMahon is another one that's interesting. He's obviously just a center because of his size, but everybody's like, oh my God, and a super athletic center that's small. He's going to be Jason Kelce because he was picked in the 6th round. I mean, that's a little crazy, but it is nice to see them have.
Yeah, can we hold off on that a little bit?
Yeah, it's nice for them to have an option behind Cam Jurgens that is kind of athletic, that can kind of match that for locked in for the next 4 years at next to nothing on his contract. So it'll be cool to see how this offensive line plays out, because I think they're a lot deeper than they were last year.
Yeah, and you know what? Yeah, I guess that would be it, because there's really nothing else to talk about when it comes to the Eagles. No, wait a minute, I'm lying. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., who for some reason went from I would spend my first round pick on him to Eagles fan only want him because his dad played here. Like, what, Eagles fans, they frustrate me so much, and you see that you see how I go at people on X, because I'm like, you guys are just unbearable. But talk to me about Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and what is it besides the given that his dad is a legend here, a Hall of Famer here in the Eagles Hall of Fame. What will Jeremiah Trotter Jr. bring to this Eagles team, and is there a pathway for playing time this year?
Absolutely. I feel like, I don't know if anybody's guaranteed a spot. I feel like they're all going to kind of fight Devin White, Kobe Dean, and then Trotter. I feel like they all should compete for those probably 2 starting spots, because they're just going to run a 3-4. So they're going to be fighting for those 2 spots. And I feel like I kind of mentioned it. I did a show with Josh Davis, the Philly special, on YouTube right before the draft, where he kind of asked me, oh, who's an underrated prospect at this point, like kind of a sleeper. And I was like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Jeremiah Trotter Jr., because like you said, if you go back to January, February, when I was doing these mock drafts on Twitter, if I didn't have him as the 50th or 53rd pick, people were like blocking me. They were like, why is he not the pick? You're an idiot. This mock draft sucks. And then sure enough, the week of the draft, they're like, we don't even want him at 120. We don't even want him if he goes undrafted. I'm like, it's just crazy how these guys cannot play games for 3-4 months. And these people have drastic shifts in their opinion because they see such and such saying it, or it just blows my mind. I feel like people need to really like formulate their own opinions. And I feel like Trotter was he was like paralysis by over analysis, because people just were finding little things to nitpick. They're like, oh, he's only 6'2", 228. He's going to get hurt. He's another Nakobe Dean. But I mean, at that point in the draft, the 4th, 5th round, I mean, why wouldn't you take a chance on him? Especially given the Eagles' history at linebacker. Howie Roseman himself, I feel like I tweeted before the draft that number 54 wasn't given out yet. Howie Roseman was like, oh, I have an affinity for players that have ties to the area and understand what it's like to play in Philadelphia. So I feel like it was kind of put out there before the draft. It was just a matter of them finding that sweet spot to land him. But if you look on the field, there's really no issues with him. Like, people are worried about his size and stuff like that. I mean, he's a little slow to process sometimes. He's not the greatest in coverage, but the numbers he put up were great. And I feel like he has a much higher ceiling than pretty much anybody they have at linebacker now, as far as rookies go, as far as like younger guys go, because Nakobe Dean, who knows if he's ever going to be healthy enough, because he struggled with 2 different injuries last year coming out of college. That's why he dropped in the draft. So I don't think he's a sure thing. Devin White's only in here for 1 year, and then we'll see what happens. So, I mean, they need some sort of long-term answer. So why can't it be Jeremiah Trotter Jr.?
I agree. And the one thing I think people really need to understand is we're not getting a disciple. We're not getting somebody who runs a Fangio scheme. Like, we're getting the architect himself. So he knows what he wants at what spot, what type of traits, how to hide players, how to put players in the best position to succeed. So I think people need to trust Uncle Vic, and let's go. Howie has gave him more than enough tools. And you know, Howie, he always got something up his sleeve later on. So roster building season is not over. People need to relax. Like, I don't even do the draft grade thing because I understand it takes 2 to 3 years for these people. Hell, y'all ready to throw Jordan Davis out with the bathwater. I'm like, that man is a freakish athlete. He is a talent. It takes time for defensive tackles to develop. Like, y'all need to relax, but that's here nor there. But Anthony, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this. Give me a draft. Give me a team's draft that you like that was non-Eagles.
So I'm not going to even go to another NFC team. One draft that I really liked was the Chargers, and I feel like they got a lot of flack because obviously Keenan Allen got traded, Mike Williams left in free agency. They're like, oh no, who Justin Herbert going to throw to? But I feel like they made the right decision going with Joe Alt at 5 overall, and people were like, oh, they should take a receiver there. But I feel like just securing that offensive line. So now you have him and Rashawn Slater as just like you locked in as your tackles. You really don't have to worry about that for Justin Herbert. So they kind of got the three most important positions on the offensive side of the ball locked in now. And then you got Ladd McConkey in the second round, who I think could have been a first round pick. He has all the talent. I kind of think he kind of just fell because it was such a stacked class. So being able to get him and then Junior Colson, who a lot of people thought was the top linebacker in the draft, they got him in the third round. So that kind of helps in the defense because their defense was kind of suspect last year and kind of ruined them in a lot of games before Justin Herbert got hurt. So getting kind of that cornerstone player there was huge for them as well. And then, I mean, later on, they got Brendan Rice, who many thought was going to be a third, fourth round pick. I don't know why in the world he fell to the 7th round, but now they kind of have 2 receivers that they're going to get paid next to nothing. And you see how much receivers are getting paid on the market right now. So having those guys locked in for 4 years, based probably like $7 million combined for 4 years is just absurd. And that's so important when you're building around a franchise guy like Justin Herbert. So I think they nailed it in the draft this year.
Yeah, I just, you know what? I gotta ask it. What the fuck are the Atlanta Falcons doing?
I mean, when I saw that pick, I was like, there's no way that's what they actually just did. I mean, people tried to compare it to like the Jalen Hurts situation, but it's nothing the same at all because it's just like you have a premium pick. I mean, there were top receivers there. There was the top tight end was there. The second best tackle was there. The best defensive player was there. Yeah. So, I mean, they had their pick of every basically non-quarterback that wasn't Malik Neighbors or Marvin Harrison or Joe Alt. They had whoever they wanted, and they went with the 4th or 5th best quarterback. I mean, not to mention the guy, like best case scenario is Michael Penix doesn't see the field and Kirk Cousins plays the next 3 years out of his contract. So now he's going to be going into the final year before his 5th year option as like a 26, 27-year-old, because I think he's already 23 or 24. He tore his ACL in the same knee twice. I mean, there were questions about him even going in the 1st round. For him to get picked in the 8th, I mean, in the 8th overall is just, that was easily the biggest surprise of the draft. And I feel like besides that in the draft, they didn't have a great draft. I mean, I don't think they had the worst draft overall because I like some of the players they got late, but it's just that Michael Penix pick was so weird.
That 28-3 thing, I don't think they'll ever shake that. It's just no. So Anthony, man, it has been phenomenal, man. I appreciate you so much. Let everybody know where they can find you and what you got cooking.
At DeBona PFN on X is where you can follow me. I tweet a lot about the Eagles on there, and then you can find my work at ProFootballNetwork.com. Got over 200 plus articles there, and I'm writing something every day basically, so you can check me out on there as well.
People, I promise you, if your Schefters, your Howard Cosell's, I'm sorry, your Greg Cosell's, whatever analyst you use or scout you use, I promise you, when it comes to AD, I'm telling you, this is a good dude. He's well informed. He knows his stuff. He talks to a lot of people. He's very good at what he do. Please give him a follow. I promise you. Y'all know how I am about the media. I'm the media assassin. So if he was not worth the follow or the listen, I would not have him on my show. I'm telling you, he's going places. Get on the rocket ship now before the Nationals scoops him up, and then you can't talk to him no more. So, AD, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. And please don't let this be the last time.
No, definitely not. I appreciate the kind words. Thank you, man.
All right. Thank you. And we will be back after this with our next segment.
It's always lit over at AJ'sRantRoom.com. We got the best bags and accessories, our beloved Black Series. We got fresh lids for you hat lovers, fire jackets and hoodies, and of course we got you covered on the t-shirts. So head on over to AJ'sRantRoom.com and get to shopping. You won't be disappointed.
Well. Welcome back, everybody. And it's that time we're going to talk about our Philadelphia 76ers, who pulled out a Game 5 win out their asses against the New York Knicks when they won 112-106. And Tyrese Maxey became a star. Not even a star, maybe a superstar, maybe the face of the league. We're going to get into that. But let's start with what transpired during that game. Well, first of all, straight from the tip off, Joel Embiid, he did not have it. You know, Joel Embiid, he's coming back from the torn meniscus surgery. He has Bell's palsy. He has migraine issues. He has everything under Cameroonian sun is infecting him right now. And he did not have it. He did not have his typical Joel Embiid game. And from the jump, we knew that somebody else had to step up. And that person was Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey finished with 46 points. And no points were more important than those 7 when the Sixers were down by 7 with 26 seconds to go. Maxey gets the ball. Boom. He gets fouled, gets an and 1 3-point shot for the 4-point play, sinks the free throw. Then he comes down. I don't know why the Knicks did not foul. I don't care. But he comes down and he hits a 3 from the logo to tie up the game. And then Nico Batum with the block at the end that sends it in overtime. And then the Sixers took over from there. And then they won. I'm telling y'all, it's over for these Knicks. And I'm going to tell you why. They literally had that game in hand. They could have won that game. They should have won that game. But they let the Sixers hang around and the Sixers closed that game out. This is a series-defining win. It's a series-changing win. And I believe that the Sixers will win at the Wells Fargo Center back in Philadelphia on Thursday, and they will push a Game 7. And you know what's going to happen in that Game 7. Cheeks is going to be tight. And it ain't going to be the Sixers cheeks because the Sixers are the 7th seed, right? They're supposed to lose. They're not supposed to be in this position. The number 2 seed, the Knicks, is supposed to win. Remember, all you dirty-ass New York Knicks fans, y'all was talking about, oh, it's going to be a sweep. The Sixers can't handle us, blah, blah, blah. You got Ben Stiller courtside. You got Tracy Walmart Morgan courtside. You got Sting courtside. You got John McEnroe courtside. You got all the New York Knicks legends courtside. And what happened? The biggest star that night was Tyrese Maxey, who finished with 46 points. I'm telling y'all, Tyrese Maxey, there's no reason why. And shout out to Andrea Carter from ESPN. She said this. Why is it Tyrese Maxey being considered as one of the new faces of the NBA? Why is that? Well, to be fair, I could say this. It's hard for you to be the face of the NBA when you're not even the face of your team. Because let's be honest, Joel Embiid is a former MVP. He's charismatic. He's 7 foot. He's doing things that no other 7-footer has done in the league. I say since Wilt. So it's hard for you to be the face of the NBA when you're not even the face of your team. But I will say this. With Tyrese Maxey's attitude, with the way he plays, the joy for the game that he has, I can't think of a better ambassador for the NBA than Tyrese Maxey. And yes, that's me being a homer, but that's just facts. He won most improved player, averaging 26 points a game. I mean, why not? When you're dealing with things like you got the Javante Porter thing where he's suspended for gambling, you got all this stuff going on with the league that people don't like. Here you got Maxey, 2-parent household, no tats that is visible anyway. Clean, has a New Balance shoe deal. He's just an overall good kid. And that's what you need in the NBA. I'm not saying you can't have a little bit of an edge to you. That's fine. But when you're dealing with a league, when you're trying to market it to the youth and you're trying to market it globally, you need players like Tyrese Maxey. And I think that I think he should be put up. He should be up as one of the faces of the NBA. Now, with that being said, let's get into the game, the actual game itself. When Tyrese Maxey plays like he played in Game 5, the Sixers are hard to beat. You know why? Because Joel's not getting doubled and triple teamed because they have to worry. They have to worry about Tyrese Maxey. And this is the thing that I had problems with Tyrese Maxey, and I was even posting about it on X, where I was saying he doesn't have that killer in him. Well, at least it's not consistent enough. Like, what is he waiting on to take over? From the jump, you could tell Joel Embiid didn't have it. So if you're the bona fide number 2, that's your time to shine. But for some reason, Tyrese sometimes, and I get it, when you got Joel Embiid, you want to make sure the big guy, want to make sure he gets off first. Pause. No Diddy. You want to make sure that he's able to get his points, he's able to get in the rhythm. But when you're dealing with the injuries and the illnesses and the things that Joel Embiid has, you can't afford to wait. You got to go out and get yours. And I think that's what Tyrese Maxey needs to do in game 6. The first period, I'm going to be paying attention because Tyrese Maxey, you put the whole league on notice. So you can't come out in the first period on Thursday of Game 6 and be passive. You got to go right at it. Don't wait on Joel. Honestly, Joel is so skilled and talented, even on one leg and with all his things going on. He's going to get his. He's going to be able to get into a rhythm. You go get yours, and then everybody else will follow. And you know why we feel that way about you, Maxey? Because we see it. The reason why Philly gets a bad rep when it comes to its stars and the superstars, the reason why we're so hard on our stars is because we believe that you have another gear. Your ceiling is limitless, and we believe that you can give more. If we didn't think you could give more, hell, we wouldn't talk about you. We wouldn't care. We wouldn't do any of that. We talk about our stars and our superstars the way that we do because we think that you have another gear, and we think that your potential is limitless. So that's why we're so hard on people like the Allen Iversons, the Joel Embiids, the Jalen Hurts, the AJ Browns, the Tyrese Maxeys. We believe that you have and if we don't see that, then we're going to let it be known. So when it comes to Game 6 of the Sixers and the Knicks, I believe that the Sixers are going to win. It's not going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be a close nail-biter heart attack again, and they're going to go to Game 7 in Madison Square Gardens, and then whoever butt cheeks become unclenched first is going to win Game 7. That's how I see it, because I think that the Knicks are going to be tight, and I think that the Sixers need to take advantage of that, because in Game 6, it started off tight, and then the Sixers went on a run. Embiid went to the bench. The Knicks came back, and then it was kind of a back and forth. It was a fighter's fight at the end. So again, Sixers win Game 6, push it to Game 7, and then it's anybody's ball game. But I'll be lying if I tell you I wasn't going for the Sixers. Sixers going to close it out, because I think that Tyrese Maxey took their heart. He took their lunch, and they had a chance to end it. And he shot that dagger in front of Tracy Walmart Morgan, and it's a wrap. So hopefully Spike could be there for Game 7, and then we'll give him PTSD about Reggie Miller. And that's what I got on the Sixers and the Knicks. We'll be back right after this next commercial.
At AJ'sRantRoom.com. We got the best bags and accessories, our beloved Black Series. We got fresh lids for you hat lovers, fire jackets and hoodies, and of course we got you covered on the t-shirts. So head on over to AJ'sRantRoom.com and get to shopping. You won't be disappointed.
All right. Thank you everybody for coming back. This part is going to be funny, and it's going to be serious. And for those who have been a follower of mine, who have listened to me and follow me on X or any social media, Y'all know I have coined myself the media assassin. And the reason why I call myself the media assassin is because I just call other media people out on their bullshit. If I feel like you're being an antagonist, or if I feel like your takes are disingenuous, if I feel like you're being an asshole, I call you out on it. And I don't have no favorites. I have no favorites. So whatever you say, I don't care if you've ever retweeted me before. I don't care if you liked one of my posts before. I don't care about any of that. If you're doing some fuck shit and you're trying to hide it behind quote unquote freedom of the press and I'm the media, I'm going to call you out on that. And in Philadelphia, it seems to be the bane of my existence when it comes to the media. For some reason, we have the only media that feels like they need to argue and fight with their biggest stars, and it's led by a disingenuous piece of shits like Elliot Shore-Parks. For those who don't know, and look him up, Elliot Shore-Parks calls himself a hot takes man. He believes that any take is better than no take. And what he does is he takes the most stupidest contrarian stance, and then he tries to base everything off that. He believes all engagement is good engagement. He's a piece of shit. And the reason why he's a piece of shit is you're going to hear it right here why he's a piece of shit and why he shouldn't be trusted in this video. Listen to this.
I agree. Look, we had Brandon Graham on the show today. He had to answer tough questions. You know what he did? He found a way to be positive.
Yes.
He found a way to spin things the way he wanted to. And he's like, there you go.
Just lie, man.
You
Just lie. I don't know what else.
Lie.
Just
No,
lie.
seriously.
Yeah.
It's exactly right.
Right.
Just lie.
Yes.
Or get up and say, hey, listen, man, like, I agree.
Did y'all hear that? Just lie. I lie all, and then he called himself, and then he started saying just lie. You see that? He just admitted that he lies all the time. This is what happens when you let fools talk. You let fools talk long enough, they tell on themselves. He literally just said lie. I lie all the time. I wonder, did you lie about, are you talking about how you lied about Deshaun Jackson when you said he was cut from the Philadelphia Eagles because he had quote unquote gang ties? Did you lie then? You call yourself a journalist. And you just admitted that you lie. Why the fuck should we believe anything that comes out of your mouth? Why should we even entertain anything that you talk about? You don't know about football. You don't know about basketball. You are a glorified fan with journalist credentials. That's all you are. You're able to go into press conferences, hold a microphone or your iPhone, whatever you record with, and then give your analysis of what somebody said. That's all you do. That's all you do. You're a fucking liar, you're a fraud, and you're a piece of shit. And the reason why you're a piece of shit is because you say the most asinine, disingenuous shit, and you get paid for it, and you get a platform for it. You're mediocre, you're white, and people are fed up. You're pathetic. And WIP, the fact that you let this guy peacock around and say bullshit, and you let him say anything he wants, and athletes actually defer to him for his analysis, that's bullshit. Grow a pair. All you athletes over there at WIP, any athletes, you should not talk to Elliot Shore-Parks. He just admitted that he lies. He lies all the time. You didn't need to go to school for that. You didn't need to become a journalist to lie. You could have just said you was a journalist. You're not a journalist. You're a piece of shit. Your writing has never been good. Anything that you've done has never been good. Matter of fact, the only thing that you've ever done, is get a job as a mediocre journalist. That's the only thing you've ever accomplished. But I noticed that there's a certain template that they like over there on WIP. They like their journalists white and mid, and they like their athletes black. So that's where you're going with that. So WIP, congratulations with your fraud ass Elliot Shore-Parks. Elliot Shore-Parks, you're a piece of shit, and I'm going to continue to call you out on your shit, and I hope everybody else does. And to the people that say, oh, Prince, but if you engage with him, that just gives him power. No, it doesn't. Trust me, it doesn't. He reads that shit. If you say enough shit, he will understand that nobody likes you, my guy. Nobody takes you serious. You're a piece of shit. Nobody takes you serious. Nobody cares about what you say. Nobody cares about your analysis, especially since you just admitted that you lie all the time. Good luck in your future endeavors when you get fired from WIP, because I feel like it's coming. And on the next video we're going to play, this is the next piece of shit in Philadelphia media. It's Jeff McClain. For those who don't know, Jeff McClain looks like Jimmy Neutron. He's a piece of shit. He's an antagonist. He calls himself a journalist. But funny, he never has any inside information on draft picks, trades, or anything like that. All he is a fake-ass TMZ. He wants to be TMZ so bad. Matter of fact, I'm trying to remember where it was that I read that it was between him and Tim McManus up for the job at ESPN, and they didn't want Jeff McClain. They took Tim McManus instead. I wonder if it was Howard Eskin that said it when he was mad at him. He said, you kept sending your resume to ESPN, and they was like, nah, bro, we good. And they took Tim McManus. Well, I'm also about to show you why Jeff McClain is a piece of shit and why ESPN didn't take him. Play the video.
As you probably know, there haven't been many white starting cornerbacks in the NFL in a long time. Do you think that'll prevent you from getting that opportunity?
I mean, if they put me out there, I'll be excited to play out there.
As you probably know.
Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? For those who don't know, that's Cooper DeJean, the Eagles' new draft pick. They traded up to number 40 to draft Cooper DeJean to be a defensive back for the Eagles going forward. And what you heard was Jeff McClain asked that there's no starting white cornerbacks in the league. Do you think that that's going to affect the way you play, or that's going to affect you getting on the field? Jeff McClain, are you fucking serious? This young man just made it into the NFL, was drafted, set himself possibly for life, living his top dream, his elite dream of being an NFL player, and you pretty much said to him that you're already at a deficit because you're white. You're white. If it was a black punter, a kicker, would you have said, well, there's not too many black kickers or punters in the league? Do you think that's going to work against you? Jeff McClain, you are a piece of shit. You are a dumbass. And another journalist who went to school and sat up there really asked this young man if his skin color was going to be a hindrance of him playing football in the National Football League. I got news for you. If you're talented and you can play, you're going to play. You could be purple, you could be green, you could be red, you could be black, you could be brown, you could be whatever color you want to be. If you're talented, you will play. So the fact that you said that further cements how much you're a piece of shit. Cooper DeJean, I just want to say this to you, buddy, if you're listening. Jeff McClain is not a representative of Philly media. Well, actually he is, but the wrong media. And I hope that you don't hold that against the city of Philadelphia, because the fans are very excited to have you here. We can't wait for you to play in this defense. We can't wait for you to make an impact in the secondary. And we just want to let you know that we had nothing to do with that bullshit that Jeff McClain asked. But as you can see, everybody's not dealing with a full deck, and Jeff McClain is one of them. And by the way, this is the same Jeff McClain, look it up, that he got punched in the face by Les Bowen. Look it up. Look up Les Bowen punches Jeff McClain. He punched him in the press box. Jeff McClain knocked his ass out in the press box. Why? Because he's a piece of shit. And pieces of shit get flushed down the toilet. And that's what Les Bowen did. So, with that being said, Jeff McClain, Elliot Shue Parks, you're the media idiots of the week. Fuck it. The media idiots of the decade. And I hope no athlete gives y'all an interview. I hope y'all end up interviewing fucking athletes at the Harry Potter School for the Gifted. You don't deserve your credentials. You're sorry. And we'll be back after this next commercial.
At AJ'sRantRoom.com. We got the best bags and accessories, our beloved Black Series. We got fresh lids for you hat lovers, fire jackets and hoodies, and of course we got you covered on the t-shirts. So head on over to AJ'sRantRoom.com and get to shopping. You won't be disappointed.
Oh boy. Y'all know what time it is. It's I said what I said, which pretty much I just say what I'm thinking, how I feel, and that's the end of it. And the recipient of the I said what I said segment of the week is Amanda Seales. Amanda Seales has been in the press after her show with Shannon Sharpe, where she just came across as a professional victim. Nothing was ever her fault. It was everybody else's fault. Everybody is not intellectual enough to be able to handle her, and it's just exhausting enough to explain. So I'm just going to listen to this video.
I felt like Shannon was playing in my face. Have you seen his prior interviews? He's very welcoming and bubbly. The door is open. Folks talk uninterrupted. He allows them to be a safe space. The producer told me I would be in a safe space and told me, I would be supported. So that's what I expected. He didn't behave with me like he has not behaved with anybody else like he did with me. So many of y'all have been on my head like, don't you ever go on that platform again. So I will I will not.
The level of gaslighting, if you want to call it gaslighting, the level of narcissism, the level of the level of her disingenuous ways, it holds no bounds. Because if you listen to the interview, Shannon Sharpe was very welcoming. He let her talk like he does all his guests, but if he has a follow-up question or if he wants some clarity, he will ask that question. That doesn't mean that he doesn't believe you. That doesn't mean that he's invalidating your experience. That means, hey, you said something and I need to digest that before we move on. It's nothing wrong with that. Only people who can't explain themselves or don't make a whole hell of a lot of sense get mad with people ask follow-up questions. Excuse me. So what we saw with Amanda Seales is she's a professional victim. Shannon Sharpe gave her a platform and she botched it like she botches every other opportunity that she gets. And then why are you going to do that after this man had you on his platform? Her followers are cult-like. She weaponizes her followers. You heard that disingenuous laugh. Y'all have been telling me, don't you ever go on that show again. I won't. Oh, you ain't got to worry. You won't go on that show. You won't go on the next show. You won't go on any other show that is attached to Shannon Sharpe. Because Shannon Sharpe is the move right now. And if you can't behave there, and if you blow that opportunity there, it's going to be hard to get on another platform, especially of that magnitude. And shout out to Shannon Sharpe. He took it in stride. He tried to explain his side, and he didn't attack her. He didn't go at her. Shout out to him, because it couldn't have been me, because I would have been like, nah, you ungrateful mother. You know what? Nah, you ain't gonna come on my show, rub your feet on my couch, and then go out here. You ain't gonna eat my food and then talk shit about me. And that's exactly what Amanda Seales did. And I think that she is a professional victim. I think she's too educated for her own good, but she doesn't have any emotional intelligence. She doesn't know how to read a room. She doesn't know how to navigate friendships, and she doesn't know how to behave herself when the opportunity doesn't call for all her revolutionary bullshit. Everything ain't a civil war. Everything ain't a race war. Everything ain't black and white. Some people just want to have fun. You know that person when you're at a party and you're chilling and they're like, man, man, when you listen to rap music, it's really going back to the 1800s when the blah, blah, blah. I just want to dance. I just like the beat. Like, I'm not interested in overtaking the government today, not tonight, not at this club. So I'm just trying to, I just don't understand the people like Amanda Seales, but it is what it is. And to further that, when I talked about her cult and how she weaponizes her followers, or fucking not even weaponize her followers. Some people are just stupid and they just don't get it, or they don't want to get it. So I got another video for y'all where it shows one of these followers, and listen to what she said about Shannon Sharpe. Play the video.
Shannon, did you get a little cocky, boo? Shannon, did you see the numbers that said that Cat Williams interview was 2 million views away from being the highest viewed video on YouTube? Did you get ahead of yourself, Shannon Sharpe? Let's chit chat. Issue with Club Shay Shay is and always has been, I always feel like Shannon Sharpe is placating or pandering to his sponsors. I feel like no matter what is being said out of his mouth, or no matter what direction his guest goes, Shannon Sharpe is always trying to steer them back online to being marketable to these, let's just face it, white sponsors. This man, Shannon Sharpe, couldn't hear and process Amanda Seales' pain as it pertained to that Disney issue, because all he heard was, oh my God, Disney. ABC owns Disney. I need to stay on ABC's good side. This is going bad. Let us get it back on track, because I don't never want ABC to see this and then say, oh, they're not going to work with me because, damn, did you see me side with Amanda Seales? That can't never be me.
Shannon Sharpe, who has a successful podcast, 2 of them. He has Nightcap with Ocho Cinco, and he has Club Shay Shay. Shannon Sharpe, who's a Hall of Famer, arguably one of the best tight ends that ever played a game, who was successful at Undisputed. That Shannon Sharpe is afraid of ruining relationships. You do know that the relationship, Shannon Sharpe is in a position where the relationships come to him. When he left Undisputed, they came to him. They asked him to start his podcast. They asked him to come on First Take. They asked him to do interviews. People come to him and say, hey, can I come on Club Shay Shay? And it had nothing to do with agreeing with Amanda Seales, because you know why you're disingenuous and you're so fucking off on this? He had Monique on there, who Monique, from a lot of accounts, has burnt bridges. And he sided with Monique on a lot of things and disagreed with her on some things. So why was he worried about Disney then? When he sided with, last time I checked, a black woman. So it had nothing to do with race, because he sided with Monique on a lot of stuff. Cut the fuckery, cut the race shit, cut the gender shit. If you're uncouth, if you're problematic, it don't matter what the fuck you got between your legs. You're uncouth and you're problematic, and people don't want to be around you. You're an energy drainer. Nobody wants the energy sucked out of the room, so they protect their energy. Amanda Seales is a protect your energy person, that when she's around, you want to protect your energy. That's just the bottom line. That's just the bottom line. And Amanda, I hate to break it to you, but baby, it's over. Like, people are tired. Like, but I get it. You got your feminist women. You got your bitter black women brigade who is gonna stick up for you no matter what. And all men are wrong, all women are right. Blah blah blah. Bear in the woods. All that extra bullshit. Whatever. So Amanda Seales, good luck on your 15 minutes of fame. It's not what you wanted, but you're gonna get it because you crossed Shannon Sharpe, and I don't know what else to tell you. And we'll be back right after this commercial.
at ajsrantroom.com. We got the best bags and accessories, our beloved Black Series. We got fresh lids for you hat lovers, fire jackets and hoodies, and of course we got you covered on the t-shirts. So head on over to ajsrantroom.com and get to shopping. You won't be disappointed.
Pause. Knows he can have it. Pause. You see what I do when I got the rock. Pause.
Let me just put this in real quick.
This is Daniel,
Pause.
by the way.
Let me just put this in real quick. Pause. Hey, yo, guess what? It's my favorite segment. Ayo, pause. Ayo, pause is a segment where I take some of the most Ayo, pausable moments that I find on social media, and I'll play it for you here, and I give you my take on it. Play the clip.
So we're looking at his feet. We're looking at how he turns his hips.
Yeah.
We're watching him transition.
Right.
Okay. Can he backpedal? Can he and come?
Yeah. Every
Okay.
time.
Can he and get those hips around? Because that's what I'm looking at. Look at his feet.
Yeah.
Look at his feet.
Look at his feet. I look at his hips. Can he backpedal? Can he come? And the fact that Chad was like, yeah. You know what? I'm telling you, if that was Mace and Cam, can you play the clip again, please?
So we're looking at his feet. We're looking at how he turns his hips.
Yeah.
We're watching him transition.
Right.
Okay. Can he backpedal? Can he and come?
Yeah. Every
Okay.
time.
Can he and get those hips around? Because that's what I'm looking at. Look at his feet.
Yeah.
Look at his feet.
And then you hear Chad say, all the time. When Shannon was like, can he come? All the time. Like, but again, oh my God. So if you was looking like, if you didn't know anything, if you was just playing that clip, Shannon Sharpe like feet, and he want to look at your hips, and he want to know, can you backpedal? And can you come? And Chad all the time. Oh man, listen, shout out to Shannon Sharpe and Ocho Cinco on the Nightcap podcast. It's very enjoyable. I love listening to it. But when I saw that clip, immediately I had to save that and I had to clip that because, hey yo, pause, Shannon, Chad. And then hold on real quick. And then when Shannon lead, when he was like, can he backpedal? Can he come? And Chad, all the time. Ayo, pause, no Diddy. Oh man. And for the next, I had two Ayo pauses. I was just gonna do one, but then I found the second Ayo pause, and this one comes from X or Twitter for some of you old people. It's from Dr. Philip Oliver Holtz at the Philip Holtz. This is what he tweeted. President Trump could rape my mom in front of me and I would still vote for him in November. Let me read that again. He said, President Trump could rape my mom in front of me and I would still vote for him in November. And then his very next quote was, for those curious as to what my mother thinks. And then he says, my mother read my tweet and immediately agreed with me. Why on God's green earth would you put a scenario like that and include your mother? This is why Trump supporters, MAGA supporters get a bad rep. This is why we struggle with letting people know that no, that's just the small idiotic vocal minority that says stupid shit that supports him. Why would you do that? First of all, do you know how vile that is? Why would you put somebody that you want as your next commander-in-chief in a scenario where he's sexually assaulting your mother? And what kind of a sick brain that you have that scenario is in your head? You typed it out. You looked at it. There's no grammatical error, so you proofread it. And you hit send. You stupid bitch. Like, I am so disgusted. It's people like you that make it hard for other black men out here when it comes to us throwing our support behind Trump or any candidate that people may not believe with. When you do radical, idiotic, simplistic bullshit like this, it dilutes the message. You're a piece of shit. And I hope that you don't have any daughters. I hope you don't have any sisters. Well, I already know you have a mother because you're here. And I just want to say this to any women out there, any victims of sexual assault. Please don't let problematic behavior like this deter you from telling your story. Because real men who advocate for the protection of women, we want y'all to feel safe around men. We want you to be able to tell your stories, and we want you to be able to get justice and get help and seek help if you're a victim of sexual assault. And this is the part of the program where I said, remember in the beginning, I said it's going to get serious because sexual assault is something not to play with. And the fact that he tweeted that out there and it has all, let me see the likes on it. Let me see the likes on it. Let me see the likes on it. At that time, it had 213 likes, 55 bookmarks, 67 reposts, and 316 quotes. Now, to be fair, a lot of the quote tweets was people telling him how much of a dumbass he was and how vile that was. And shout out to people that still do the right thing and still don't think that likes and retweets Trump being a decent human being. I'm just disgusted with that, and whatever, man. I just hope people like that just, you know what I want to say, but I can't say it because I want to keep my show. We'll be one more commercial, and then I'll be back with my ending thoughts.
At AJ'sRantRoom.com. We got the best bags and accessories, our beloved Black Series. We got fresh lids for you hat lovers, fire jackets and hoodies, and of course we got you covered on the t-shirts. So head on over to AJ'sRantRoom.com and get to shopping. You won't be disappointed.
Well, that's been a pretty interesting show. I hate that I had to end it like that, but I felt the need to save that for the end because I wanted people to really pay attention to what it is I was trying to say. So with that being said, thank you, everybody. I like to thank everybody that's came through and listened and support in real time with Prince Blue. I like to shout out my sponsor, AJ'sRantRoom.com. You notice that theme of all the commercials at AJ'sRantRoom.com because we got the fire hoodies. I can't do his voice, but shout out to AJ'sRantRoom.com. That's my brother. He's doing big things. Check out the website. Check out the merch. There's something for everybody. Enjoy that. You won't be disappointed. Shout out to Anthony DeBona from PFN 365 for giving me that interview on with his draft analysis and his perspective on different prospects. And shout out to my producer behind the lens, my super producer who helped me with this show. Without her and without AJ helping me with the show, it would be more off the rails than it already is. But it's going to get better, I promise. Thank you to everybody, and I will see you on the next episode. Peace.
Real time, real time, real time, real time, real time, real time, real time.